2.
We are calling to order the regular meeting of the High Point City Council. Here in chambers with me is actually every member of council, as well as Madam Manager and a number of city staff. Before we move fully into our agenda, we're actually going to rise for a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. Amen. This is the first regular meeting of the month of February, and in just a second, we're going to actually have public comment period. But before we do that, we'll need to adopt our agenda. Is there a council member willing to make a motion to adopt?
I'm not sure this is the right place to do that. I would like to move one of the consent agenda items out of the consent agenda. Do I do that now or later?
Yeah. Which item is that?
2024-040, trademark properties.
2024-040. Okay, we'll move that down to general business. Move it out of consent. You're making a motion on that?
I am. Do I need to make a motion on that?
Do you need to make a motion, or can it just move to adopt the agenda with that item being moved to general business?
Yes, note the change and then adopt it as amended.
Okay, so if you're making a motion to adopt the agenda with that item being moved down to general business?
Okay, I make a motion to adopt the agenda with that agenda item removed from the consent agenda.
Okay, is there a second on that? Second. A second made by Councilman Tyrone Johnson. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any against? That motion passes, and we do have our agenda. For public comment period, we've had a number of folks sign up to speak. This is a reminder that even if you did not sign up to speak, you can still choose to speak, but what I'm going to do first is call those who signed up, and then after that, if anyone else wants to speak, you feel free to come up. Ultimately, what we want you to know is that you have 3 minutes to speak. And then if you have any items or anything that you'd like shared with council, make sure that it goes to our city clerk first. First on our list is Don Chiarello. Don, are you with us? How are you doing today? When you come forward, if you'll just state your name for the record and your address, and then you can make your comments.
Yeah, my name is Don Chiarello. I live over in Farris Avenue in High Point. I'm here to talk about the importance of the city putting together a climate action plan. The important point to understand is that High Point needs a climate action plan because it saves money, reduces emissions, and promotes a healthier environment. For example, Chapel Hill is saving over $80,000 a year after making lighting, HVAC, and controls upgrades to just 3 town locations: their community center, the aquatic center, and the town hall. That's a lot of money. The town expects to save another $20,000 a year through LED retrofit project at the town's library. That's a lot of money. Asheville used the revenue they generated for replacing street and building lightings with LEDs, and they used that money to fund their first sustainability staff position. Plans are underway to reduce emissions and save more taxpayer dollars. Most of the major towns and cities in North Carolina already have and are implementing climate action plans. That includes Greensboro, Durham, Raleigh, Charlotte, Asheville, and others. Even tiny towns like Hendersonville and Pittsburgh have a plan. Now, police departments in Kentucky are saving $7,000 per year per vehicle by moving to electric vehicles, and they even pay back the city by plugging into the utility. Now, operating more efficient buildings and vehicles saves money and is the right thing to do for the environment. By creating an action plan, we'll be better able to prioritize the most important work and be able to take advantage of new state and federal funding opportunities, especially the Inflation Reduction Act, which provides generous grants to cities with a climate action plan. After upfront costs, the ongoing savings from reducing energy use and landfill fees could be used to hire staff, make further upgrades, or save taxpayer money. So the roadmap for how to go about all this is already drawn for us to follow. I'm asking that the City Council resolve to take a serious look at the means and the benefits of moving forward with a plan to cut energy use and study and improve our tree canopy and other goals that a good climate action plan would involve. Drafting a resolution along these lines would be a great start. Thank you.
Mr. Chiarello, thank you so much, and I'll be glad to say that we received your email and your letter, and actually, we've got staff looking into this. I believe they'll be in touch with you to get some more details from you.
Thank you so much.
Next on our list for public comment, I believe the name is Daniel David. Mr. David, if you're here with us, will you please come forward to the podium? Please state your name for the record as well as your address, and then you have 3 minutes for your public comment.
My name is Daniel David. My address is, you say address, right?
Yes, sir.
3101 Stratford Court, High Point, 27265. I'm here, I'm total blind. And for years, I have two comments. Let me do the first one first. Is that, I know our neighboring cities, Greensboro and Winston-Salem, they have a transportation board. I'm here talking about I want to talk about transportation in the city, the hours. The buses, they stop, the buses stop running at 6 o'clock in the evening. People, handicapped people, older people, if they want to go out to dinner or go to a movies or do anything in the city, and we pay lots of property taxes, and it's no transportation for handicapped people and older people to get around in the city. Before the pandemic started, I was told that maybe the transportation was going to start running to later at night. Access is good for people who are blind and older people, but nothing is being done in the city to come up to standards. And if I feel like if we had a transportation board, that maybe the transportation board could help the city plan better with getting some transportation later in the evening. Because 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening is so early. A lot of people is not even off work. When I was working, I'm retired now, I didn't get home till 5:15. So I had no way of getting anywhere. And a lot of people live by themselves. They have no other means of moving around. Like I said, if they want to go out to dinner or go to a movies or anything, they can't do it because the transportation stops so early in High Point. And we hoping that y'all would think about having a committee, a transportation committee, where we could voice our opinion about transportation for people who are handicapped and disabled older citizens of High Point. Because we've been in this city a long time. I've been here, I moved here in like 70, and I've been here for a long time. And now we don't have, you can't go anywhere or do anything after like 5, well, you gotta be back home by that time. So you can understand that, if you want to go out to dinner, you gotta go out like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so you can get a ride back home before 5:30, 6 o'clock. But I'm hoping that the city would think about and extend our transportation hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. David.
Larry, you want
One second, Mr. Diggs.
Thank you, Mr. David. And I was glad to meet you before the start of the meeting tonight. And so looking forward to speaking to your group. and to give you some updates on some of the things that we're doing at the county and city level. There's a countywide task force that is looking at the redesign of our transportation system throughout the county. Also looking at different ways like transit to be able to meet the needs of longer hours, further routes, and also to make sure that we're ADA compliant, making sure that those folks who are who do need special accommodations have access. And so there's a lot of work being done. Hopefully we'll have a solid plan that'll be able to meet the needs of every member of our community here in the coming months. But we're absolutely working on it. We've heard this issue from our constituents, and we're certainly working to bring it up to the level that it needs to be for a city such as High Point. So thank you for coming to speak to us tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Holmes. Next on our public comment list is Earl Calloway. Mr. Calloway, if you'll step right up here to our podium.
High Point.
If you'll let us know your name and then just state your address for the record.
I'm sorry. Earl Calloway, 526 Walnut Street, High Point, 27260. I pretty much came to the new admin, to see who's who and to really to understand the small government and how it affects. I'm a constituent and I represent people. So how does it fit and how does it benefit us? But I would like to make a statement for the gentleman. Sir, I work with energy. I would like to talk to you. The problem with that scenario is politics. You have landowners that, okay, they have, they have to foot the bill because there is a prerequisite on amount of monies that one may have or what have you in order to ask to get
Mr.
a
Calloway.
retrofit or an audit done.
Mr.
to a
Calloway,
home. Sir.
will you address council for your public comment, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just at, because
That's quite all right.
Pretty much, I'm just here to listen. I sat here and looked at the itinerary, so I would like to just sit and pay attention to what is being said, and, I just, next time, hopefully High Point will turn up, because the lack of participation, this is not High Point, I'm sorry. So, I can say to myself until a time comes, whereas when I do say something, it reflects on what it is that that I see. So I just thank you for this little time to introduce myself, and I appreciate that. Yeah, but I have nothing to address. You guys, I got to see for what it's worth. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Are there any other members of the public who are here who would like to speak during public comment period? If so, please come forward to the podium. State your name for the record as well as your address. Just as a reminder, we ask that all members of the public keep your comments to 3 minutes. and
I wasn't on
speak
the
if you
list.
address
My name
council.
is Winnie Merritt, 1114 Bridges Drive. But when I heard that first comment from Mr. Scherer, I just have to second that, please. A climate action plan is what we need. I am very involved in the concerns of agriculture and food security and racial equity, and they're all impacted by our climate change, which I can see right in my backyard, in my garden. So I hope you will take it seriously under consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there other members of the public who wish to speak during public comment period? Yes, Mr. Diggs, if you'll come forward and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Larry Diggs, and address 1127 Biltmore Avenue here in High Point. I just wanted to touch up a couple of things that Mr. Davis said concerning transportation, because we do know that at one point before the pandemic, it had been authorized to run transportation to 9:30 at that point, but we do understand because the pandemic came through and everything had to be changed and everything, and I know it's going to take a little bit more time to even go into that, but I'm hoping that it won't be delayed very long, and I hope that it just it is a great need for, to have later transportation here in High Point, because not only that, there are some people, even their jobs, they need to get there, even if they can just get there and not have to, they can probably get a way back or something like that, but sometimes even with their job and everything, it makes it difficult and everything like that. I'm going to mention one other thing too. This is probably none of my business, not like this, but I'm going to also speak for the bus drivers that drives here in the city, because I think they do a great job and everything, and I'm hoping that y'all give them full consideration on some things. I was surprised. At one point, I thought they got Martin Luther King's holiday off, but they let me know that that was not happening at this point, and I thought 1 year or two that they did get it. It's something to think about, because they're well deserving, because they also, they work hard, and I ride the bus, and I know they work pretty hard, and they just, that consideration, and I wish y'all would consider Martin Luther King's holiday.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Diggs. Are there any other members from the public who wish to speak during public comment period? If not, I'll go ahead and close the public comment period and thank everyone who did take some time to relay their sentiments. The first item for consideration is our consent agenda, and I do want to remind council that we've had one item that has been removed from the consent agenda at the request of a council member. That item is 2024-040. That item will be discussed under general business. And so at this point, we are considering a consent agenda that has every item in it except for that one moved down. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilwoman Peters and second by Mayor Pro Tem Holmes. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? That motion passes. The first item for consideration under general business is item 2024-040, consideration of contract with Trademark Properties. This item was heard in finance, and I believe that Assistant City Manager Eric Olmedo is here to speak more on the item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, this evening, council is asked to consider a proposal from Trademark Properties to perform advisory services for planning, construction, and delivery of a new city hall and associated uses at 405 North Main Street. Trademark Properties will provide guidance and insight by reviewing third-party reports and future city plans, and will engage stakeholders in the area to gain insight into the dynamics of the area. Trademark will provide recommendations regarding the best mix of uses in the area. They will advise the city on zoning and planning conditions, engage a land planning architectural professional to develop potential development scenarios, and create a massing study to attract a partner developer. They will also provide potential financing options, engage with a parking owner-operator to determine what parking solutions are recommended, and provide recommendations for how the city might, or will provide engage a commercial general contractor to provide cost estimates and provide recommendations for city incentives to development in that area. Funding is available in the general fund, and City Council is requested to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Trademark Properties in the amount of $120,000 and to authorize the appropriate city official to execute all necessary documents. Happy to entertain any questions.
Are there any questions from council for staff?
I have a couple.
Yes.
So I guess just 4 new council members, and we're kind of jumping into the middle of this conversation about a potential new city hall. Has there been any discussion amongst staff about different ways of potentially paying or financing this city hall if it were to come to pass?
So back in April of 2023, we did have a report from our financial advisor, Davenport, estimating some potential cost of a new city hall as well as parking development and a couple of other projects in that area. That was presented to the City Council in 2023 in April, and it did have an estimate of a rate that would be needed on the tax rate to pay for what was in that scenario. But that was a very preliminary scenario based on really just estimates that we had at the time.
Yeah. I guess the other question I have is the timeline. I mean, is the expectation that the City Council is going to be taking this up for the upcoming fiscal year, and in other words, in 3 or 4 months, or is this going to be part of a broader discussion over the next, I guess from July onward to the following fiscal year.
I believe this will be a longer-term discussion that will happen over the next several years.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other discussions?
Can I just clarify, when you said the rate, are you saying that it was proposed that we would raise property taxes in order to pay for the new city hall? What was the rate?
So under the scenario that we were given by our financial advisors, based on all the information that we had back in April, they projected that it would require for all our existing and these new projects there would be a 4-cent tax rate increase at that time. But that was, again, just a very preliminary estimate, not based on having all the information that we'll certainly gain from this study, as well as other factors that have gone into that have happened in that area since April of 2023.
So Eric, just to be clear on this item, the work performed by Trademark essentially clarifies any requirements that would be necessary for moving forward but this doesn't lock us into moving forward on any particular initiative.
Correct. This will help us help clarify the picture of what could happen in that downtown area. There's been a lot of different factors that have changed definitely since we first started with the Catalyst project and with the factors that have gone into the COVID situation, as well as all the different properties that have changed hands in that area. So this will give us a really good look at what we can do in that area and what is best and what are the best and highest uses for those properties.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff from council? If not, then I'll entertain a motion for this item. Second. Motion has been made by Councilwoman Peters and second made by Councilman Tyrone Johnson, and the contract for Trademark Properties. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any against? That motion passes. Next item for consideration is consideration of revisions to the board/commission's liaison members list. We received a request recently, and we know that Councilmember Britt Moore will be joining the High Point Area Builders Association. Councilman Moore, do you want to speak on this item at all?
I know. I just appreciate the confidence of having the opportunity to serve with the Builders Association. Certainly a critical part of our local economy and small business. So I'm excited to be a part and represent them.
Absolutely. We appreciate your service and partnership with that. Any questions on this item? If not, I'll go ahead and make the motion for us to revise the board/commission liaison member list to add Councilmember Britt Moore as our liaison for the High Point Area Builders Association. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman McKeever. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any against? That motion passes. I'm going to ask a question of our city attorney here. We did have one agenda item here that, and I apologize for the oversight, but myself and Councilmember Moore are members of the High Point Market Authority Board, and they were under our consent agenda for an agreement. And I'm actually going to ask for our city attorney here to give us some guidance on what we should do next.
And just to be clear, you all are full board members, not just liaisons?
We are liaisons from the city on the board, but we're both voting members. Is that correct? Correct, Britt Moore?
I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we should go ahead and address that issue, address that agenda item separately.
Okay. Forgive my ignorance. We voted on a consent agenda item that had that item in it. So does the entire consent agenda need to be re-voted on?
Yeah, so let's go back and remove that item.
Does,
C6. It would be item C6.
and would we have to strike that official vote in motion from the record since it was technically
Yeah.
an illegal vote technically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so just for clarification, a couple of years ago, North Carolina legislature passed a law that said any elected officials who also serve on nonprofit boards cannot vote for agreements in between the two parties. And normally, we do really, really good navigating this. This just happened to go underneath the wire until just now. So we actually want to disclose it, and for that reason, the vote on our consent agenda is actually voided. So please bear with us. I do apologize. I'm actually going to, we have to make a motion to recuse, to rescind the vote?
Yes.
Hold on, I think there should be a motion to rescind the vote, recuse.
Right,
and
so
then
we'll
vote.
need a motion to rescind the consent agenda vote, and then a motion to remove it from the consent agenda and have it be a separate standalone item, like we did for the first one. And then we will need an offering that you all need to be recused, and then a vote to excuse you from the vote, and then a vote.
Okay, so we need to rescind,
Rescind.
we need to remove, we need to recuse, then we need to vote for a consent, and then a general business that myself and Britt Moore are recused from.
That's exactly right.
Anyone else lost yet?
You did that
That's why you
very
need a
well.
city attorney.
All right. I'll go ahead and make a motion to rescind the vote on our consent agenda that was earlier placed. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Tim Andrew. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? That motion passes. I will now, can I make the motion to remove this item? Even though I have to recuse, can I make the motion to remove?
Sure.
I'm going to make the motion to remove item 2024-030, consideration of nonprofit organization agreement with High Point Market Authority from the consent agenda and move it into general business. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Mayor Pro Tem Holmes. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? That motion passes. Does someone else have to make the motion for our recusal, or can I?
Well, I think that you all have offered that you have a conflict, and so if someone else would make a motion to excuse them from the vote.
On the general business item, right? On that one general business item, right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Madam
I think
Attorney,
it
I
was
would,
overlooked because we hadn't even had our first board meeting yet.
Yeah, we haven't even had our first board meeting yet. but,
Madam Attorney, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mayor Jefferson and Councilmember Moore from the vote on item 2024-030.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Or excuse.
Hold the vote for the
Right.
for the consent agenda.
Yes. I will entertain a motion.
Well, we've just excused them for the
Right.
vote on the matter, so then let's go ahead and vote on the matter that they're
Right.
excused from.
Okay. All right, so item 2024-030, consideration of a nonprofit agreement with High Point Market Authority. Is any council member willing to make a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Peters. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Andrew. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
And now I'm back in the meeting, right? All right, here we go. We are going to actually now make a motion to approve our consent agenda with the items that were removed already from general business. Those items, again, just for clarity, 2024-040 and 2024-030 are both removed from consent. Is there a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Holmes, seconded by Councilman Johnson. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? That motion passes. And I have learned so much about municipal law in the past 5 minutes. Thank you so much, Madam Attorney, Madam Manager, as well as everyone else who bear with us on that. We've come to the end of our meeting. Are there any announcements from council before we hear a motion to adjourn?
I just have one. I was not able to announce last time, but we are hosting a Ward 1 Town Hall on February 27th at Moorhead Recreation from 5 to 7 p.m. And you will start to see that coming out in various locations, hopefully in all your email inboxes from local organizations. But we would like for anyone to come, but especially the citizens and stakeholders in Ward 1.
Thank you. Any other announcements or comments from council? If not, then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mayor Pro Tem Holmes to adjourn, second made by Councilman Johnson. Any discussion on the motion to adjourn? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? That motion passes and we are adjourned.